You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network.
This is Jim Gilchrist, voice of the Kingston Frontenacs. You're listening to OHL Overtime, an in-depth interview show highlighting the players, coaches, and broadcasters from around the Ontario Hockey League who make the league so great, as well as in-person coverage of events such as the OHL Playoffs, OHL Championship Series, OHL Combine, and more, exclusively on the Armchair GM Sports Network. Here's your program host, Brandon Caputo.
Welcome into another episode of OHL Overtime right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network. This is our OHL playoff game recap from Game 4 between the London Knights and the Erie Otters in Round 2 of the Western Conference playoffs in the 2025 OHL season. The London Knights sweeping the best-of-7 series 4-0 over the Erie Otters. We're going to hear from head coach Kris Mallette of the Erie Otters following their season coming to an end, as well as Knights defenseman Sam Dickinson, first-round pick of the San Jose Sharks. We're going to get into all of that. A 4-0 victory last night. Thank you to everybody that's been patiently waiting for this. Last night's game obviously went to overtime, and there was a lot of stuff afterward with it going a little bit late with the series ending and the handshakes and things like that. So I wanted to bring it to you the next night, and pleased to welcome on Colin Ward from the OHL and 60 podcasting contributor here with the Armchair GM Sports Network. Also does great work with the Dogcast on the Bulldogs Audio Network with Reese Dumaney. Colin, thanks a lot for joining us. You joined us following Game 2, post-game recap there in London, and I don't think much changed in your mind as far as what you thought would happen in this series. Yeah. Erie was able to push it to overtime, but ultimately the top-seeded Knights come away with their second straight sweep here in the playoffs.
Yeah, first off, Brandon, thanks for having me on. Always a blast to talk hockey. Growing up a London Knights fan, it's always good to talk about the Knights still. But all in all, I mean, I thought the Erie Otters came out and they played the best they could possibly play last night. The outcome is what the outcome is, but Charlie Burns was incredible back there in the net for them. Pano Femus all series long in the faceoffs. Those are two guys, Brandon, you know, especially Pano, seeing what he's brought to the table in Niagara. I mean, the effort was there from Erie, but just London is just so good. Like, they're so deep, and that's what makes them so good. They're so deep. They have so many different elements, and we talked about this last time I hopped on with you, Brandon, about and they show all the elements to their game that they have. They show the balance in their lineup. You know, they have the scoring on 1 to 2 lines, but then they show the defensive play on the third line. The fourth line's tough to play against. They're guys that you're constantly looking over your shoulder against because you know they're going to hit you, and you know they're dragging you into the fight. They have so many different elements, and I mean the London Knights played a really good game. They had to match that intensity. The put-away game, the elimination games are so hard because you know the team that's down is going to be desperate, and they're playing with everything they got, right? And that's kind of what Erie showed last night. I just think they ran out of gas. You're playing a deep London team, right? And London did Casper Halton and did Denver Barkey, Easton Cowan, did Sam O'Reilly. Did those guys come off the ice at all last night? Like, those guys, like, it felt like every other shift, right? And then you really turn the matchup into the London Knights' favor on the road instead of the Erie Otters' favor, because with the double shifting like that, and when you're constantly have to shift, when Erie just didn't have the depth to match up with London like that, you're going to lose shifts or guys on the third line, and you possibly got to sneak a third line out there and against the London Knight top line, and that's not the matchup the Erie Otters would want in that series, just because it's not a favorable matchup for them. And you gave everything you had if you're Erie. You really did. Charlie Burns, I mean, the winner, and it's tough. Like, as a goaltender, you're always thinking about, I remember games where you give up an overtime winner, and it's like you think about that your whole life. You're thinking about that all the time. If only I did this, right? But you didn't do it in the moment. But I thought that the game winner, maybe you want back, but you got to be careful on the post, right? Easton Cowan's there. He's a damn good player, and you got to respect what he's going to do with the puck. And it comes out to the middle. Stick on the ice, but anyway, I thought that Burns played incredible, and every Otter, you really have nothing to hang your head on. You know, you're out Matthew Schaefer, who's a star. Trance is out. Like, that was an uphill battle for the Erie Otters, 1,000%.
They did well getting past the Saginaw Spirit in round one, but again, any team going against this London Knights team, especially when you're without your best player, probably arguably two of your three best players in Carey Terrance and Matthew Schaefer, and your starting goaltender, Noah Erliden, didn't play other than a 1.5 games in the 4-game series. It's tough. And even the environment, I was there for both games in Erie, and 3,198 was the announced attendance there in Erie for Game 4, but they definitely get on those London Knights, the Sweet Caroline, London sucks chants, and they were on the officials both games as well. It's a hostile environment. I think London feeds off of that, being the villain when they go down there to play those games. It was a great atmosphere. And again, even though you can say an undermanned Erie Otters team, I think they gave what they had and had a good showing regardless of it being a 4-0 sweep. But we'll get things going here, Colin, with the game stats. London outshot Erie 50-28 by the end of it, by the 3 periods, and then the overtime period that didn't last long. But again, you mentioned Charlie Burns there having to start in place of Noah Erliden, his second straight start, technically 2.5 because he came in Game 2 midway through, and a guy that really hadn't had any playoff experience, and coming over from Niagara last season in a trade, you thought, okay, what would Charlie Burns be? And I think that now they know that Charlie Burns is a guy that they can maybe rely on going forward. Had 2 really good games here. London can put up 8 goals in their sleep. So the fact that he was able to hold them to 4 in both games and, kick them to overtime in this one, 50-28 were the final shots on net. Taking nothing away from what Austin Elliott did, because he made some spectacular saves in the last 2 games as well, just not tested as much as Burns was. I think 46 of 50. Can't ask for much more from Charlie Burns.
Yeah, no, you really can't. And especially, when you're going in the postseason, you're not the guy, but you got to stay sharp, right? You got to stay ready for your moment. And he was definitely good when he got his moment. And you just ran into a buzzsaw. You just ran into a heck of a London team. And, I mean, at the end of the day, you made a lot of saves. You made 46 on 50 in an elimination game. You gave it all you had. And that's all. And that's frustrating. But when you're watching the overtime, too, Brandon, last night, it's like London owned the puck. And the one before the no-goal call in overtime, and you see that before that sequence, it's like, can the Otters just get the puck once? Just get one clear attempt. Just get one breakout. Get it in the London zone. Get a whistle. Live to see another day. And, you're playing with fire like that when you can't get pucks out. And then the second time, the good goal. Those are obviously frustrating, but Charlie Burns gave everything he had. Like, he really did. And I thought he looked good positioningly, too. Like, he was square to the shooters. He didn't really get out of position too much. And that's the one thing about London. You got to have the angles, right? You got to be in position. You got to be square to the shooter because you don't know where the puck's going. And they're so good with the puck, but you got to stay square to the shooter. You got to respect the shot. And that's one thing I thought he did really well with in the game last night as well, not just Game 3.
Yeah, the way London can move the puck around, they can get you moving if you're a goaltender. You move it on to the power play, London 2 of 4, Erie 0 for 4, and that was, to me, the biggest difference because Erie had, I believe they had over 50% power play going into Game 3 in this series, and it's really let them down in the last 2 there. They had some chances, some opportunities. London takes advantage. The one, we'll get into the scoring summary, but Dickinson and O'Reilly, the 2 power play goals there, and the way the first unit London can throw out there is just like insane. Like they have 5 players that are NHL drafted on their top power play unit, and all 5 of those guys are dangerous and can score. You've got Dickinson out there, you've got Casper Halton in with that one-timer, you've got Barkey, you've got Cowan, you've got O'Reilly, and then even their second unit is formidable as well. So London goes 2 for 4 on the power play. Erie goes 0 for 4. Face-offs tonight, or I guess last night, Colin. Pano Femus we talk about him, breaking the record for most face-off wins in the Ontario Hockey League this year. He goes 21 of 31, so a respectable night from him on the dot. Gabe Frasca struggled, only 4 of 18. On London's side, Sam O'Reilly, 14 of 29. Jacob Julian, 7 of 15. But to me, where London's face-offs are so valuable is I feel like every time they're on a penalty kill, they win the face-off to just kill about 20 or 30 seconds off the power play with the way that they're able to win those defensive zone draws on the penalty kill and start the power play off from their own end once again.
Well, that's a start, right? Like when you watch games around the league, that's the biggest part of penalty killing. If the killing team can win that face-off right at the start of the power play, they can win that D-zone face-off and get it clear, you're killing 25, 30 seconds. I mean, the drop, if a team does the old drop-off, like 20 feet backwards pass, that kills off another 5 seconds, and it allows the penalty killers to get in position. So then you're at 30 seconds. You're at a minute 30 power play instead of 2 minutes. Time you get set up, it's a minute 20 power play. So you kill off 40 seconds off that if you can win the faceoff, and that's what London does so well on the faceoff dot. And that's where I gave a lot of respect to Pano Femus in the series. But the power play for the Erie Otters, if we were to say this, Brandon, when I was on in Game 2, if we were to say that the Otters penalty power play was going to be good and respectable in the first 2 games in London, and then not really show up in an elimination game in Game 4, I probably would have said we're crazy to even think about that, right? Like, but sometimes it happens. You're going home, you think your power play would favor you, but sometimes it just doesn't. It's very interesting to see when you can't win faceoffs. That was very interesting to see that on the penalty or on the power play for the Erie Otters. I thought that really put them behind the 8 ball, right? And it's an uphill battle. It's almost like, and for me being a Denver Bronco fan, it's almost like playing the Kansas City Chiefs. You have to play a perfect game against those teams, and that's the most respect you can give an opponent. Like, you have to play a perfect game against the London Knights. On the power play, if the Erie Otters go 1 for 4, they win the game. They probably win the game. And it's just the margin for error, right? And you get the power play and the things are tightened up 5-on-5. You got to score. And that probably, if you're the Erie Otters, just kicking yourself a little bit, right? Not being able to get success on the power play. It's tough. But, I mean, again, Matthew Schaefer's on there. What's the power play for the series? What's the power play for the playoffs, right? Like, he was so good on there throughout the regular season before the Christmas or World Juniors. But you definitely think that it would have been a lot different. But if I'm in the Otters brass, so I'm kicking myself a little bit about the power play.
No, I would be too, because, again, missed opportunity there, especially in a game where they were able to push it to overtime. We'll get into the scoring summary here, Colin. Knights opened the scoring 6:58 into the first period, and it was a great stretch pass from Sam O'Reilly from his own end to find Easton Cowan, who went backhand 5-hole on Burns, kind of the same goal he scored in Game 3 as well to get the Knights on the board early. And one of his 3 points on the night, Easton Cowan up to 8 goals, and just continues to be a menace out there against the Erie Otters, and now going into the Western Conference Final. Definitely, number 7 is playing some of his best hockey right now, and continues to just show that he, at least a few times a game, he can have these types of plays that can really be game-breaking, and he gets them on the board first.
100%. And, is there ever a game, and we talked about this after Game 2, Brandon, is there ever a game where Easton Cowan isn't on the stat sheet?
Barely ever.
Yeah. That doesn't happen too often. But I feel like it's just that was such a big start, right, for the Otters, or for the Knights. You come out and your leaders get you on the score sheet right away, right? Jared Woolley, not a big point producer, but nice to see him get on the stat sheet. And then Sam O'Reilly, Easton Cowan duo with Denver Barkey has been incredible all playoff for the London Knights. And that's just that's huge when you get that first goal. You kind of relax a little bit. You never get the sense that the London Knights are overwhelmed. They've been there before, right? They've been here. And that's kind of the vibes you get. But when you get the first goal, it really puts the pressure on the Otters, and then you make Erie kind of chase you in their home arena, right? And that's kind of what the London Knights, with that, that's so big for them.
again, we go forward here, and there were some penalties back and forth as far as, the fans in Erie were really on the referees tonight or last night. Julian was called for holding on Royston, then the power play quickly came to an end. Spence was called for a cross check on Sam O'Reilly. So again, some self-inflicted wounds by Erie on the power play as well. Didn't help, but it was late in the first period, and Pano Femus, we're going to talk about him a little bit later as well. This would ultimately be his final game in junior hockey in the Ontario Hockey League, and he went out with a bang. Took the puck, came down the right wing, and beautiful shot up top on Austin Elliott. Nice celly after as well for the Richmond Hill native who's committed to the Notre Dame Fighting Irish next season. In the NCAA, it was in 4-on-4, kept on the 2-on-1, and it's 1-1 at the end of the first. And Femus had to step up in this series without guys like Torrance and Schaefer in the lineup, and then Mishiak as well, which we didn't mention, didn't play in Game 4, which was another big loss for Erie up front as well with Martin Mishiak. But really nice play, and Pano Femus showing why he's really taken a step forward in his game. 9th goal of the playoffs from Sam Alfano, Quinn McCall, 1-1 game after the first.
Yeah, it's nice to see Pano Femus get some playoff experience, right? Last year he got a taste, and then this year it's nice to see him get that opportunity to be the guy, right? And he really found that in Erie, a fair shot at their lineup. And I mean, veteran player, right? I mean, 21 for 31 on the faceoff dot as well, Brandon. Like, talk about to be that shutdown center and to be able to have 9 goals in the postseason. On top of that, playing against majority of the time, you're playing the other team's best center. When you're the best faceoff man, you're in the matchup. You got to get the puck. And you go 21 for 31, you find a way to get on the score sheet. That's a huge night. That's one of your most valuable players for a team, especially for forwards. There's so much value behind that. So, heck of a job by Pano Femus. I mean, what a career he's had.
Absolutely. And then Erie came out in the second period early on, and this was just a weird play. Ty Henry tries the centering pass that hits off of the stick of Cam Allen and directs right over top of Austin Elliott. And Cam Allen sat for a little bit after this goal, but I'm sure he bounced back in the third period and was getting booed all night, all series long by the Erie crowd. But regardless, Ty Henry, good for him as a defensive defenseman, being able to get a lucky goal, but gets his second career OHL goal to give Erie a lead. And it felt like, okay, like if Erie's going to get these types of bounces where it goes off of a Knights defender and over top of your goaltender, maybe Erie's going to have a little bit of the tide turning in this fourth game as opposed to what we saw in the first 3.
Absolutely. I mean, you get that goal right, you get up 2, you get you create opportunity, and or you get up 1 and you get that opportunity and you get confidence. It's just getting that next goal right. It's that mentality where you got to get the next one. You can't be satisfied. And it's nice too when you get a bounce, right? That could be a bounce breaker. If the Otters come out and get the next goal, that kind of felt like it could have been a backbreaker, right? You get a bounce, you get up 2, you make it 3-1 at the time, but instead the switch flipped.
Yeah, Charlie Burns made a few big saves, but London, as you mentioned, they're so good. They just come at you in waves and waves and waves, 100%. And they control the game for most of it. Erie scored those 2 goals, and then you felt like London was like, okay, we need to start turning this up a bit. Late in the 13:30 mark of the second period, the Knights were on a power play, and this was all Denver Barkey because he skated around the entire zone, it felt like, to be able to create time and space for his teammates, and was able to, he came back out towards the left faceoff dot and just find Sam Dickinson, who was able to kind of sneak away, and I asked him about that, we'll get to in the postgame interview. And a beautiful one-timer goal that Charlie Burns just had no chance on. We mentioned how London gets you moving left and right, and Burns, was completely on the left side, had to get over to the right, sprawled as best he could, but Dickinson with a pro-level shot on that one-timer that he's really worked a lot on. And it was getting the game tied up at 2 on the power play, and that one felt like, okay, London's that was the momentum changer for London to be able to get back in this game.
100%. Denver Barkey, 20 points in 8 playoff games. You want to talk about on pace to be the playoff MVP. If the London Knights are successful as a team, he's got to be the favorite. Yeah, I mean, anytime you get the maturity to Barkey's game's incredible, but anytime you can find Sam Dickinson too for a one-timer on the weak side, more than often than not, you're going to be successful. I mean, he's so big, powerful. Being a Red Wing fan, Brandon, he reminds me so much of Moritz Seider. Maybe the physicality's not there, but the way he shoots and the way he controls the puck reminds me so much of Moritz Seider if you watch a Red Wing game back there on the point.
Yeah, the San Jose Sharks are going to be happy with him and possibly Matt Schaefer too if they win the draft lottery. That would be a heck of a first D pair. But regardless, Sam O'Reilly's second point of the night, we haven't heard the end of him because later in the second period, you thought, okay, Erie has a 2-1 lead in this period, and then all of a sudden, by the end of it, London's got a 3-2 lead because they score another power play goal. And this was a great play. It was originally they set up Casper Haltonen for that patented one-timer on the left circle, Colin, and I think Burns got a piece of it or he missed the net, and the puck bounced back out to Easton Cowan, who just circled around. He got the puck right in the middle of the slot, and you could tell he was just waiting and toying with Burns to see where he was going to go next because he had a couple of opportunities and options, and he waited for Sam O'Reilly to go right into the blue paint and just put it right on his stick for the perfect redirection. Sam O'Reilly really didn't have to do a lot except have his stick on the ice, and just great vision by Easton Cowan to get it to Sam O'Reilly, the Edmonton Oilers' first-round pick, third point out of the night, and gives London the 3-2 lead.
No, absolutely. I mean, you can't. The penalties, right? 2 for 4, and then the timely power plays too as well for London Knights when they needed the most. They scored. They capitalized on it, and it was their veteran players. I mean, your big time players got to play big time. They got to have big time games, and that's what they did there. And I thought that, especially looking at the score sheet, I mean, you see it, and it's the big time players. And I mean, when you get a moment, they got to come through for you, and they did.
Yeah, I mean, just the easiest goal Sam O'Reilly's ever going to score, but that's why you go to the net with your stick on the ice and go to the blue paint. You got to be willing to go there to score, and O'Reilly did that there to give them the lead.
Brandon, that's when you go before you go on the train after you score, and you're saying, "Hey, thank you, Easton Cowan 1,000,000 times because you know why you scored there." Nice feed.
Absolutely. And then in the third period, Erie, got to give them credit. They fought back early at the 2:56 mark. Austin Elliott kind of was sprawling around a little bit. Alfano kind of circled the net and was able to find Malcolm Spetz almost in the same spot that O'Reilly scored on that same end just the period prior. And Malcolm Spence, projected first-round pick in this upcoming National Hockey League draft. To me, he's been a little quiet in this series as far as what you'd expect from a guy being a possible top 15 pick in the NHL draft. But he's able to score a timely goal for them here to get it tied up. And early in the third period, the Otters fans and the Otters themselves had some confidence that, okay, maybe we've got a shot to steal one.
Yeah, and what a role Malcolm Spence has had in the postseason. You think about the players he's went up against, right? Michael Meese in the first round, and then the second round. You look at the guys he's playing against in London Knights. And to be able to perform the way he has been incredible. That's a tip of the cap to Malcolm. But, yeah, big goal for the Otters. And, when you get that goal to start the period, probably the message from Kris Mallette is in the intermission, it's like, okay, guys, just get a quick one. You can breathe a little bit. It's only one goal. Get an opportunity, then we look ahead, right? Then we just keep going. And that's how you want to start a period. That's how you want to start a third period on an elimination game down. It takes the stress away, right?
Malcolm Spence from Sam Alfano and Pano Femus. Pano Femus' third point of the night as well. Second point for Sam Alfano on the night. But then we didn't get any more goals because this game ended up going to overtime, Colin, when there was some fireworks in overtime, to say the least. London came out and just controlled the play from the second the puck dropped in that fourth period. It just felt like, they put their top players out and they were really controlling the play. The puck ended up coming out to the neutral zone. They got back in and found Casper Haltonen for what we thought was the series clinching goal, just wristing one up top of Charlie Burns. London, they mob them in their own end. They're celebrating. They've won the series. But hold on. Erie did not leave the bench, and we saw the opening there for the off-ice officials, and we're wondering, okay, what's going on here? Well, they're reviewing it for an offside, and, lo and behold, it was offside. So that continues on, but just talk about how difficult you think that would be for guys, celebrating, thinking the game's over, they've won the series, and then they've got to go back to the bench, get refocused, and then try to score another one that would actually count.
Man, 100%. There's so much emotion. You think about the game in the queue that had 5 overtimes a couple weeks ago. Like, it's so hard emotionally because, like, for 20 seconds, 30 seconds, if you're on the Otter standpoint, you're done. And it's like overagers, all the emotion that comes out. You can't put it into words. I can't put it into words. I wasn't lucky enough to play in the OHL, and, I wasn't lucky enough to be an overager and to carry that weight. But I would not want to go through that. I feel like it would be so tough, right? Like, the emotion that comes through for that 20 seconds, and all of a sudden you see the door open, and it's like, well, I got to regather my group here. And, I mean, that's coaching staff, right? I thought the London Knights did a really good job at that, too, because I think the London Knights realized it was an offside after the fact that they went to the bench. Austin Elliott didn't go to the bench. I think they kind of realized it was offside, so then you regroup, too, because when you win, you think it's over, right? Sigh of relief. But I just think the London Knights have fun playing hockey as a group. I really do. I think they have fun. It's hard to really get in their head emotionally as a visitor, as an opponent. I mean, it's tough. From the Otter standpoint, I think in that message, you just want to regroup here, okay? Regroup. We got a second chance. You never know. Go down there, get one chance, chip away, be good defensively, keep them in front of you, and then what happens.
Especially when you got a stone-faced coach behind the bench and Dale Hunter. I try to watch him every game to see, like, if he never gets too high, never gets too low. He's just the same guy back there. Unless he's looking at an iPad in Peterborough in the OHL final 2 years ago. But even when his team scores a goal or gives up a goal, he's the same guy. Just
100%.
Okay, whatever. Like, we'll continue on here. And I think that message rubs off on his players as well. It's just it's incredible to see, and you know why he's won 1,000 games in this league, Colin. You've been following the Knights for a long time, and Dale's a big part of that.
Yeah, if you do the video of the show, you got to post a picture. 7-year-old Colin with Dale Hunter at the White Oaks Mall in London, Ontario during March break at the Knights camp.
Great picture.
But no, I have a lot of respect for what the Hunters have done. Dale, Mark, Dylan, Rick Stedman, Rob Simpson, even, like, they're everything they do is professionally done, and I think that with Dale Hunter, I mean, it's so big in teams. I mean, we see this around the league, right? The good teams that have a coach that don't get too high, don't get too low, are the good teams, and there's no mistake. The three coaches, and I don't want it to be biased. I don't want to come biased at all, being with the Brantford Bulldogs. Jay McKee, Jussi Ahokas wins Coach of the Year, in Dale Hunter. Is there any surprise? You add Ryan Houlihan to that mix as well as young, Houlihan, Jay McKee, and Ahokas, guys that when you watch those guys as well, their teams never get too high or too low. You stay even keel, and that's how you win in the postseason. And there's no surprise to me why the London Knights have won so many games, why they've been so successful, because that's how you have to approach junior hockey. And you always hear it from Dale Hunter. And I mean, talking with Mike Stubbs before, the voice of the London Knights, and Brandon, Mike's a great guy, and we talked about this, that the London Knights, they show you the recipe to their success. It's there. But how can opponents, how can they execute against them, right? And that's the thing. They can't execute at the same level because it's communication. It's being able to be a teacher. You're dealing with kids. And the London Knights, the way they do things is different than a lot of teams in the Ontario Hockey League because it's hard to adapt to that model. When you're at 16 years old, you're going to play a role. Now with the London Knights, they're deeper than they've ever been. So you got guys in Junior B or the GO developing, playing their game. You have how you treat your draft your players and so on and so forth. They have a process. They have a system in place. They play to their structure and the way they want to play it. The players execute it. And no surprise because they're hands-on. They're good teachers. And, I mean, during the game, yelling and screaming at a 17-year-old or yelling at the referees is not going to help. When you see a coach, and we've seen this before, and on the OHL and 60 podcast, I've been very critical of this one, Brandon. And I think that when you see a coach yelling at a referee and trying to have a loud discussion with an official every single whistle, what's the team doing? If you watch the bench, what is the bench doing? The bench is getting on the officials on the ice, On the bench, they're saying stuff. Every single close play they want to call. The London Knights, you see that. There's none of that. There is none of that. The captain talks to the officials. That's Denver Barkey. Other than you never really hear Dale Hunter. You never really see him talk to the officials throughout a game. It is what it is. And I think that's why I have so much respect for what they've done there, Brandon. I mean, I've saw it my whole life growing up there. The guys they've had and the success they've had, it goes hand in hand. But at the end of the day, you look behind the bench, and Dale Hunter's been a staple there for a long time. And, I mean, everything he brings to the table in the London Knights, I mean, there's a reason why he's one of the best coaches in the CHL and possibly CHL history. Yeah,
well said. Just can't say enough good things about what they've done there in London for a long time, and just a staple franchise here in junior hockey that a lot of teams try to replicate. We'll get back to it here, Colin. Sam O'Reilly ends up getting the game winner here, and this was tough because Kris Mallette, Hail Mary, goalie interference challenge. What do you have to lose at that point? Yep. It looked like maybe, but when you saw a couple of replays, it looked like Burns was already way back in his net because we were texting about this when it happened that, Cowan, he had to overcompensate for coming around the net, and then O'Reilly was just able to kind of shovel that thing in. He did make contact with Burns, but I think it was after the puck was already, crossed the line, and Burns was basically on the goal line to begin with.
Defenseless receiver.
Was already falling over to begin with, so O'Reilly gets credit for this one. Another long review, so London had to wait this one out again, but this one stands. Sam O'Reilly's second goal of the game, 4th point of the night for the Edmonton Oilers, first rounder from Cowan and Bonk, and that seals the series. London wins at 4-3 in overtime and wins the series 4 straight. But the handshake afterward, and classy by both teams as well. Kris Mallette, great coach, got this Erie team turned around.
Big time.
When most people thought that they wouldn't, and I think there's a lot of respect there between him and Dale Hunter as well. But Sam O'Reilly ends the series for London here.
Yeah, I was glad. That was a really good discussion we had too last night when the goal went in. And it's as a goaltender, and I've been thinking about this now throughout the show. And I know we don't have camera, but if we had camera, I'd be going through the goalie motion right now. But Charlie Burns, a right-handed catching goaltender, right?
Yep.
So he catches the wrong hand from my perspective. But anyway, all jokes aside. If you have the stick out there, you're hugging the post, right? A lot of goaltenders, Easton Cowan there, you got to respect that on the post. You have to, because you know what happens if you play the middle? He just tucks it back or tucks it in on the back door on a wraparound attempt. And you got to respect that with the puck. I was wondering maybe if you take the stick, put it in the lane, that takes that pass away. So then you make him shoot the puck there, possibly. But if you're not going to play the stick, if you're not going to use your stick as a goaltender, but anyone that listens to the OHL 60 podcast or listens to the Bulldogs audio network knows, as a goaltender, I'm huge on using my stick. I think not enough goaltenders use their sticks enough. You got to be aggressive. If a player's going to come in on you like that, you got to use your stick. Would you rather give up a goal or make a save? Common sense one for me, but easier said than done. But Charlie Burns gets the puck, and instead of using his stick, if you're going to play it the way you did, it would have just been nice to get the stick on the ice. So then you block the 5-hole, right? You're square to the shooter. And we talked about that earlier. You got to have all angles. You got to be square to the shooter. You got to square up to be successful against the London Knights. And it was just one moment that, you get off a little bit. You play 95% of a shot, right, against the London Knights. It's still not going to be good enough. You got to play 100%. Even 99% might not be good enough because they only need a spot to put a puck, and they can be successful. And that's kind of what happened there. And you got to give credit to Sam O'Reilly. That was a hard-nosed, gritty game for Sam O'Reilly. Let's be honest. When he's playing with Easton Cowan and Denver Barkey, he's the guy that's really not going to be the sexy puck carrier, You're not going to be looking at him. He's the guy that's got to be out there. You got to carry the piano. You got to be there in all the battles. You got to be puck hungry, right? And that's kind of his role. And I thought that was a perfect spot. That's where you got to go to score playoffs. It's hard to get to that area in the playoffs. And when you can get there, you usually get rewarded when you get those percentages there. But all in all, it was a great shift for Sam O'Reilly in that shift. But I wonder if Charlie Burns would have played that differently. That's what he would have did. But all in all, he still played it decently.
Yeah, I mean, that line of Cowan, O'Reilly, and Barkey just complement each other so well. We talked to Sam O'Reilly after the Game 3 post-game recap, and just talked about how they are able to really just know where each other are going to be. And They work well with each other, complement each other well. That sixth sense almost of where each of them are going to be on the ice. It's fun to watch. 23, 7, and 86 in the offensive zone. But regardless of that, let's go to Erie Otters head coach Kris Mallette with his, I guess, end of season thoughts here after his team goes down in overtime to the London Knights and losing in 4 games to this top-seeded London Knights, but a proud head coach, as you'll hear right now.
What was it like? I mean, they're waiting the first review, to learn the goal or no goal like that. I mean, just your emotions or what are the team's emotions having to wait that out?
Well, I mean, I think the first minute and a half was me basically closing my eyes. Like it was intense to begin with. Guys were adamant that it was offside. We didn't have a real great angle. So sitting there just hoping that, we'd have another crack at it. And when that ruling came through, there was a sense of relief with our group, another chance, and, live for a few more minutes.
Had you experienced anything like that, I guess, in the past, playing in this kind of scenario that, a goal got waved off and, postseason or something like that?
Absolutely. Oh yeah. No, overtime, goals waved off. It's high pressure, high intensity, and our group was wound tight. We wanted to play more. And lucky that one came through. And the challenge was, we knew it wasn't a goalie interference, but why not test it out, right? Like you never know if you get that another crack, but lightning doesn't strike twice usually.
Coach, talk about Charlie's performance tonight. I mean, he made some incredible out-of-this-world saves tonight, keeping this team in things. Just talk about him. Obviously, you could tell after the game he was feeling down on himself, letting the winner in, but just talk about what he brought tonight.
Bottom line, the only reason we were in that position. I mean, tough as a backup goaltender to sit on the bench knowing that, you're getting your handful of starts, but always came to the rink every day. Worked extremely hard on the ice for practice, great attitude, great person, throwing into the fire, and did a hell of a job in both games. He was a difference maker for us, and really happy for him, and he should be confident from it.
How were the guys before the game? I mean, knowing the circumstances and everything, but what was the vibe you got from them warming up?
There was a calmness amongst our group. It really was. It was. You get into these certain situations where that you've got nothing to lose, and the pressure is across the hall. And our guys, I mean, was it pretty? No, but did we sacrifice? Absolutely. Did we show that we wanted to do whatever it took to try and win this hockey game? Absolutely. So there was a calmness knowing that, hey, we're in one, and our guys, got ourselves an opportunity to play some more hockey, and in overtime, anything can happen.
Coach, you kind of came in the middle of this season when a lot of things had happened, Mr. Waters passing, the previous coaching scenario, and all the injuries this team has dealt with. Can you attest to the adversity during your time here that this team had to overcome to get themselves even into this second round of the playoffs?
No, I walked into a great situation. I thank these guys from the ownership to management to these players for allowing me to be a part of it. I came in and it was as seamless could be. They trusted me. They allowed me to lean on them, to help them try and get better. And yeah, they've gone through a lot individually and as a team, obviously an organization. So to see where we got in that short a time, there was always potential there with this group, and that's why I wanted to come here. And they lived up to those expectations for me, and I couldn't be more proud. I just wish I had more time.
What did you take from this experience, albeit maybe abbreviated, that'll help you going forward, with this organization, this league, this franchise?
Fresh start. I think the ownership, obviously the family taking over, we all have a common vision, and it's a positive, environment that we want to create. I think that it's exciting to be a part of it, knowing that every day you can come to work and you want to come to work. It's not a job, it's somewhere you want to be, and that's an environment that we're trying to create. And I think this last 2 months for me, and I said it to our guys, that I enjoyed coming to the rink, and it's been a while. It really has. It's a pressure-filled position, and at times you can get really, really caught up in it, and these guys allowed me to enjoy the game again, and I'm really looking forward to what lies ahead. And it just really sucks right now that group won't be together anymore.
Spent a lot of time in Kelowna, Coach. Does Erie feel like home now in the short time you've been here? What's been the biggest change for you coming from out west now to here in Pennsylvania?
Yeah, I mean, I've been embraced like almost rock star-ish. I don't even the fan base, the people. It's been great. Like I said, the ownership, management, team has really embraced me, as have the fans and the people of Erie. They're very welcoming and warm. And I mean, the biggest adjustment for me is that my family wasn't here right now, but they're going to be coming. We'll be moving out in August, and we're going to be Erie-ites, I guess we call it. And we're going to immerse ourselves within this community, and I look forward to some real good times moving forward.
Can you speak to, obviously, no Erliden, no Schaefer, no Torrance? How did you think that the guys rallied around them, and how were they kind of trying to help the guys out even though they couldn't play tonight?
Yeah, I mean, those guys were good to have around, right? Kerry and obviously Matthew, great to have as morale around the room. Great leaders on that side of things, but in the midst of injury is opportunity for others to step up. And I thought that, there were some guys that ate a lot of minutes with those guys out of the lineup, and it's going to bode well for us moving down the stretch. So, into next year, there's guys that are going to have expectations that a standard was set for them down, in the time that I was here. So I'm looking forward to what lies ahead with this group.
Lastly, taking nothing away from the other overagers, can you speak to Pano Femus, guy that now is committed to Notre Dame next year? Broke the record for most face-off wins in the Ontario Hockey League this year and really grew as a person since his 2 years here in Erie. Can you speak to him playing his final OHL game, having a 3-point night in it, and what you think his lasting impression will be on this group?
Well, I think, again, I mean, just to speak to him, you don't see a player of his caliber that is so strong in the face-off. He's a cerebral player, makes others around him better. He's a guy that wants to be, he said to me, I thank you for trusting me. He wants to be a guy that's out on the ice for key moments, and he proved time and time again, along with our older guys, with Marty and Sam, that they are three players that are coveted. You only get 3 overages, and those 3 were real special for our group, and they were ones that allowed us to get to this position that we were at, today.
There was Erie Otters head coach Kris Mallette on their, final post-game of the Otters season. Colin, a lot of good thoughts from Kris Mallette. I think he's brought a lot of stability to Erie, takes pride in being the head coach of the Otters after, such a successful stint with the Kelowna Rockets in the WHL. It seems like he's got a plan for what he wants this Erie Otters team to play like, and I think a full season, a full training camp. This Otters team is in good hands with Kris Mallette.
100% they are, 100%, and I think that they got their guy right, and it sounds like they have their guy, and he's happy to be there. It's a great relationship. The community's really embraced him. It sounds like, and that's great. This is only the start of the beginning for the Erie Otters. They're going to be fine. I'm really excited to see their future. They haven't had that guy behind the bench in so long, and I think now that they have that guy, they have stability for years to come, like they once did when they were winning all the time, is huge for them. And I think that's kind of, it starts with Kris Mallette, but it's huge with the front office that they have. To have a good relationship behind the bench is everything in player development. And I think that the Otters, this is just the beginning for them.
Colin, we've got a little bit of time here, and we still have to get to both the Sam Dickinson post-game as well. But Pano Femus, just, what more can you say? I put out a post on X about, what Pano Femus's journey has been. Over 8 coaches in his time, missed his rookie season with COVID, went through some trials and tribulations with Niagara, got to Erie, really took a step forward with them. And again, a guy that we both saw grow up. His first interview was with you guys on the OHL and 60 podcast. His second interview was with us on the Dog Pound podcast. That was our first draft that we covered on the network. And you watched him grow up from a 16-year-old and had to miss out on that first year. Was a step behind the 8 ball, and really grew as a person and as a player. Became so good on the draws this year in his overage year. Went to a couple rookie camps with Toronto and Columbus, made a good impression, got himself a commitment to Notre Dame, got to play out his last OHL game against his brother and Donnie Femus over there with the London Knights, who's a Vermont commit. I'm sure that was a special moment for him as well, getting to shake his hand and hug him in the line there. Brothers going at it, but the Femus family and Pano himself, one of the guys you want to root for, just a stand-up guy. And I know he's going to be missed in Erie and Niagara and in the Ontario Hockey League as he deservedly so graduates on to the NCAA Division I next year.
The thing about Pano Femus that has been incredible to him, he's been so respectful to the organization he's been into.
Mm-hmm.
And, being in Niagara, it wasn't a well-ran organization for him. It wasn't a good spot. He goes to Erie, and it's another situation for him where he goes to Erie, and, the opportunity that when he first went there wasn't great, but he comes out of it in a great spot. The Erie Otters did everything for him, and he did everything for the Erie Otters. It was a great relationship in that remarks, but all the best. I mean, what a career. I remember when he came on the OHL and 60 podcast the first time, Brandon, we talked to him, and it's like the maturity and the winning, that comes with him. And he didn't sound like a 16-year-old at the time, and he's a veteran player in the league now, and it's wild how fast the careers go in the Ontario Hockey League. And to me, that is every single situation, the best compliment I can give Pano Femus, every single situation he's been in, he's literally made the best of that situation that he could possibly make in his OHL career. And the guy's a professional. And maybe before he goes to Notre Dame, he gets a contract. But we'll see what happens. But he's well-deserving to be a pro hockey player one day. He's definitely going to get that opportunity, I would imagine.
Yeah, great way to end his OHL career. 17 points in 9 playoff games, a career high this regular season with 86 points, 32 goals in 68 games, and finishes over a point a game in his OHL career, which for the first 2 years, wasn't something that maybe we expected, but he finishes with 253 in 245 games, taking nothing away from the other overagers. But I just wanted to give a shout out to Pano Femus because, we both, have covered his whole career.
100%.
And it's going to be cool to see him, wearing the Fighting Irish colors next season, especially if they ever get to play against the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Take it easy against the Ohio State Buckeyes, Pano.
Yeah, sure.
Take it easy. And another good buddy of mine, as you know, Brandon, Gavin Bryan, I told him the same thing as well. Take it easy against the Ohio State Buckeyes, because for Notre Dame, we all know what happened in the Natty in football.
Yeah. So we're going to get to our player post game quickly, and it's with London Knights defenseman Sam Dickinson, who after this, of course it didn't happen beforehand because, it would have been nice for me to ask him about it, was the San Jose Sharks Prospect of the Year named last night, late in the night with San Jose being out west. I believe it got announced like 11:30, 11:45, something like that. But regardless, here's what the Sharks' first-round defenseman from this last draft and London Knights, the star defenseman, had to say about closing out the series and his thoughts about the season so far. Back in the postgame with Knights defenseman Sam Dickinson. Sam, first off, you got to walk me through your goal because that was quite the setup and quite the play there by Barkey to find you on that play, and then you just potting in that one-timer. How were you able to kind of be able to get yourself open on that one?
Yeah, it was kind of a bit of a broken play, broken entry late in the power play. It's something we've gotten pretty good at, kind of just being positionless when we get in the zone. I was just trying to find open ice. I think anybody out there is good enough to make a pass like that, and especially Denver. So, yeah, I was just looking for open space, and obviously just kind of put it in a great spot for me and put it in.
Seems like you've really been working on that the last year or two. I noticed that kind of developed in your game there with that one-timer. Is that something that you've really tried to work on, especially as you've grown into a bigger and older player?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a big tool from the point, getting pucks through, trying to just create offense however I can. So, definitely something to put some time into.
And talk about the series in general. I know it was a 4-game sweep, but the Otters really gave you a run in this game, especially, and a division rival is never going to be easy. So what was your guys' mindset going into each of these games, knowing that you were the favorites, but then leveling those expectations, knowing you have to go out there and play 4 strong games?
Yeah, it was never thinking that we're the higher seed or they're the underdog or anything like that. It was always coming out with the same effort, the same mentality. Go out, win each hockey game, and they gave us a great series. They're a great team, so we didn't expect anything, but we were just ready for everything.
And this is all you've known now. You're 3 years in the league, and you've been to 3 straight Western Conference Finals. Now that you're getting used to these games, used to these situations, what makes you guys so just dialed in when you get to these moments and having that experience that that get into these deep playoff runs, you guys are going to have success?
Yeah, I think it just starts from the top with Dale and Mark. They know what it takes to get here. They've been here a lot more than we have, and we'll be here a lot more than we ever will. So it's just trusting them. They know what they're talking about. They're putting in good systems, and I think the second is just the want to win that we have in that room is like something I've never seen before. So so yeah, I think that's a big one. Is everybody in that room wants to play for each other, wants to win. So it's an exciting time.
Lastly, for you, I feel like every time I look on the ice, I see number 3 logging a lot of minutes in the offensive, defensive zone, penalty kill, power play. Do you take pride in logging tough minutes, and no matter what the situation is, even on the penalty kill, things like that, down 5-on-3? Like I noticed that you've really grown in all aspects of your game. How do you feel about playing so many minutes out there?
Yeah, I'm for whatever's going to help this team win, and if that's me having to play a lot of minutes, it's fine by me. Whatever those minutes are, power play, penalty kill, 5-on-5, playing, not playing, whatever is going to help to take this team, whatever's going to, help this team win is, that's all I'm for.
Thanks, Sam. Best of luck in the West Final.
Thank you.
There was London Knights defenseman and San Jose Sharks first-round prospect and prospect of the year, Sam Dickinson. Colin, gave all the respect in the world to Mark and Dale Hunter. Says they know what they're doing, so we just go out there, and they've been doing it a lot longer than we've been here, and they'll do it a lot longer when we're not here anymore. But talked about not getting too high, too low. They had to go into those tough games with the same mindset that wasn't going to be easy, and just trusting that getting through this process and getting through to these big games and these big moments, he's really relishing and taking those big time minutes in all situations.
100%. Sam Dickinson's evolved as a player. I mean, right from his time in his draft year in the Ontario Hockey League, how good he was, how strong he was on the puck. I was always a big fan of him, and then going over to London, getting the opportunities there and getting the coaching that he deserves, getting the organization in London. I mean, it's a perfect fit for both sides. And I mean, with his game and the evolving that's taken place, San Jose, they know they got a star there, and Sam Dickinson. And I mean, Mark and Dale Hunter, as you mentioned, echo that statement. I mean, they put you in a good situation. They give you situations to be successful, and as a player, that's all you want, right? That's all you can ask, to be successful. And you just want situations that you can succeed, and that's what they've done in London, and that's what Sam Dickinson's getting treated.
Absolutely. Joel Vanderlaan in Game 3 had him as the player of the game, just for the way that he was able to really control the game from the back end, and just a special player that I think the San Jose Sharks fans are going to be excited about sooner rather than later. But his development the last 3 years, and going to 3 straight Western Conference Finals to start his OHL career, just pretty incredible to think about. Before we get out of here, we're going to put Colin Ward on the spot with our stick tap of the game, brought to you by Hockey Stick Man. Pro Stock Hockey Sticks from major junior teams right up to the NHL teams for after retail price. A stress-free shopping experience from start to finish. Check them out at hockeystickman.ca to join their mission in saving hockey families money. Colin, who's your player of the game from last night?
Before I give the player of the game, I just want to say Charlie Burns, what an effort.
Absolutely.
What an effort. And I mean, if they were successful 1,000%, there's no one else that even comes close to the player of the game, right? But it's a team game. But Charlie Burns, what a game. Honestly, nothing to hang your head on. Incredible effort. Not a lot of goaltenders in the Ontario Hockey League could have had that effort in a particular game like he did in a Game 4, backs up against the wall. So shout out to Charlie Burns. Shout out to Pano Femus, 31 face-off attempts. The stress in his role, and to all the other Otters OAs that have now graduated from the Ontario Hockey League. Thank you guys. for everything you do, or everything you did for us. I mean, Brandon, you and I both, it's always nice when players come in, they treat the league with respect. They play the right way. That's what we want to cover. And thank you to all of the OAs. But my player of the game, Sam O'Reilly, +2, 4-point night, got into the dirty area, scored a big goal in overtime, as we know. He just played his role to a T, man. He played his role to a T, and that's what it's going to take to be successful. London Knights, big-time players came and played big-time games, and that's what they did. And Sam O'Reilly, to me, is my player of the game.
Yeah, 2 goals, 2 assists. I mean, overtime winner.
+2.
Pretty hard to bet against Sam O'Reilly in this game, but yeah, honorable mention to Charlie Burns, man. He really, left
100%.
left it all on the table in that game. 46 of 50, just an incredible performance. Not an easy situation. Not even knowing you're going to start this series. Erliden gets hurt, and then you got to go in the middle of game 2. In a tough situation, game 3 and game 4. When your back's up against the wall, as you mentioned, that's going to be great for Charlie Burns' development with the Erie Otters going into the next season. If he is back with them, we'll have to wait and see, but definitely showed that he could be an Ontario Hockey League goaltender this year after limited playing time in Niagara last season. But so, Colin, that's going to wrap it up. London's going up to the Western Conference Final at the time of recording this. Windsor still up 3-1 on Kitchener in the series. Should be fun. I know you guys are going to talk about the preview at length on the OHL and 60 podcast, but it's going to be tough to beat this London Knights team. They're still undefeated, 8-0 so far in the OHL playoffs. I'll give you a final word here.
Yeah, no, London's going to be tough. They're playing their best hockey. Be interested to see Windsor Kitchener. That's going to be tough. It's going to get harder and harder for the London Knights, and they know that. They're battle tested. They've been through it before, but it honestly feels like destined for the London Knights to make it to the Memorial Cup with their unfinished business that they have, and I know that's their plan. Yep,
OHL champions last year. And, again, they want that Memorial Cup trophy on their mantle with this amazing group that they've been able to build over the last 3 years. So, with that said, Colin, thanks a lot for joining us. I know we haven't heard the last of you here. We're going to do lots of good stuff, with the network and as well with you guys over at the OHL 60 podcast for the Western and Eastern Conference Finals and then the OHL Championship. It's going to be a fun ride, my friend, and appreciate you hopping on.
No, thank you, Brandon. Appreciate it. Like I said, I want to keep earning credibility, keep earning opportunity, and no place I'd rather do it more than yourself, Brandon. So thank you for all that you do for myself, and it was a great series. It was great to see, honestly, what you did, the effort going through all the places you did, going from Niagara Falls to London. It's a tough drive, going to Erie over the border like that. Everything you've done, Brandon, in this series, congrats to you, and thank you for everything.
Oh, thank you, and I know you're never going to miss a moment to come and talk about the London Knights, a franchise that we both respect, and you're growing up going to the games. I'm sure it's great to come on and talk about them. But that's going to wrap it up for our Game 4 OHL playoff game recap between the London Knights and the Erie Otters. The London Knights taking the series 4-0 and will await their opponent in the Western Conference Final. Thank you to everybody that's tuned in live on our Armchair GM Sports Network YouTube channel and those listening later when I post this episode on all on-demand audio platforms. Make sure to give us a follow on X at Armchair GM Pod as well as at the OHL and 60 podcast for all of our great content we are doing for the playoffs and armchairgmsports.com for all of our game recaps in written form. So for Colin Ward, my name is Brandon Caputo. That's going to be it, and we'll talk to you again when the Western and Eastern Conference Finals begin right here on OHL Overtime. Have a good rest of the night.